Hi, this is Joe Ozimek, Environmental Safety Specialist with the Coachella Valley Water District. And today we're going to be talking about spill prevention control and countermeasures, or SPCC. So over the next couple of minutes, our agenda is going to basically be reviewing the SPCC Spill Prevention Control and Countermeasures Program. We're going to talk about petroleum products that are regulated under the SPCC program. We'll review spill prevention and response and how we do that, and when and why we report out to regulators in Riverside County. So what is the Spill Prevention Control and Countermeasures Program, or SPCC? Basically, it's a program that was developed in the mid-'80s by the US EPA in the state of California to protect human health and the environment from spills of different types of petroleum products. So who is required to be trained? It would be any CVWD personnel responsible for operation and or maintenance of petroleum-filled equipment, and also those involved with storing petroleum. SPCC applies to facilities that store more than 1,320 gallons in an above-ground storage tank of any petroleum products. In the next couple of slides, we're going to review what those petroleum products could consist of. With no single tank holding more than 5,000 gallons. These are referred to Tier 1 SPCC plans. Examples of these abbreviated or shorter plans apply to Warps 4, 7, and Coachella Yard. Where we have greater than 10,000 gallons of aggregate petroleum storage or oil-filled equipment in above-ground storage tanks, that would require a full plan written and certified by a professional contracted engineer, a PE certified in the state of California. Because Warp 10 and Palm Desert are combined together and have a capacity greater than 10,000 gallons, they would have a full SPCC plan. If you want to look at these plans, have information to reference, they are located in the flammable storage areas at the 3 warps, and we'll review the locations of each of those facilities. So our SPCC plan outlines procedures and methods, equipment, and personnel employed by our company or organization to prevent and control discharges to land. Our SPCC plan, the intent is to protect waters of the state, groundwater, surface, and subsurface soils from petroleum products being spilled on the ground. So what petroleum products are regulated under SPCC by the state of California? I've listed them here for you. This will give you a general idea what's regulated under SPCC. So compressor oils, hydraulic oils, transformer transmission oils, motor oil, fuels, different types of petroleum, lubricants, greases, and even antifreeze. So one thing to note is that SPCC applies to petroleum. It does not apply to hazardous materials. Hazardous materials would fall under another division of Riverside County in terms of how we do cleanup in response to those. So let's take a walk through each of the 3 warps, and each highlighted yellow area is either oil-filled equipment, mostly generators, or above-ground petroleum storage. And each of these areas at Warp 4, there are 6 areas, there are accompanied spill kits in the immediate vicinity of each of these locations. In the center of the property is a flammable storage or waste storage area. There's a spill kit located there. And there's also the Tier 1 SPCC plan in a folder. At Warp 7, we have 3 areas. The diesel fuel above ground storage tank area at Headworks. We have a flammable storage area as well, where the SPCC plant is located. Spill kit is also located there. And we have a diesel fuel above ground storage tank. Again, 3 areas, 3 spill kits. At Warp 10, we have 8 areas, and in each of the 8 areas, there are also spill kits located there. Flammable storage area at the center of the property. Again, SPCC plan, the full SPCC plan that's certified by a professional engineer is located at that area along with the spill kit. So how does CVWD prevent spills? One way is through pre-shift inspections. Before operating a piece of mobile equipment, everyone should be, if they're not doing it, visual checks to check for oil leaks, staining beneath the equipment, indicative of a spill, a leak that needs to be repaired in the vehicle to prevent a spill from happening and going on and causing issues with soil and groundwater. Drips from hoses and connections are also indicative of leaking equipment, fuel dripping from gas caps. These are all on the pre-ship inspection forms that people fill out. We also complete safe work practices and SOPs, standard operating procedures that we follow. We should be using secondary containment when we have tanks outside external above ground storage tanks. If we're storing petroleum products in 55-gallon drums, we should be staged on secondary containment. If those pieces of equipment, those drums or vessels that are holding petroleum should leak, it's contained within those secondary containments. Inspection of process equipment, aside from the mobile equipment, is important, and regular preventative maintenance also prevents spills. Vehicle and mobile equipment fueling. Well, when you're with your vehicles and you're fueling them, you should remain with the vehicle. Don't top off the tank. And in each of the fueling areas at Coachella Valley and also Palm Desert, there are spill kits in the fueling area. Clean up the fuel spills if they happen immediately using the available spill kits in those areas. Like I mentioned before, containment should be used when storing drums, like we have at Palm Desert here in the lower right-hand corner. They can be constructed out of high-density polyethylene plastic, can be constructed out of concrete. It can also be double wall construction around above-ground storage tanks. Regardless of the materials that are used for secondary containment, they should contain 100% of the product and the single largest container in that area, plus 10% of the container's volume. That's standard procedure, and it's written into the regulations. That 10% accounts for any precipitation that might occur. It's a contingency, a safeguard to make sure that if a vessel or a drum leaks and there is precipitation in the containment, it can account and hold not only the product, but that additional liquid that might be in there. So how do we control spills? Well, we do it through spill kits. And as I mentioned in the slides that we were looking at, those spill kits will hold booms, absorbent pads, floor dry, should be using a non-sparking shovel. And there is an empty drum in the flammable storage areas where we keep the waste stored, and the SPCC plants are located. So as far as spill response, I'm just going to walk you through the steps of how to use the spill kits. Just for your information, if you have time, you're interested, I've included a link to a YouTube video. It walks through in about 2 to 3 minutes the steps actually using a spill kit by suppliers that send us the equipment. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that the area has been cleared away so you can have access to the spill. There's nothing more annoying than having people in the area prohibiting you from getting in there with the equipment you need to do the cleanup. You want to make sure, obviously, that all the equipment, the ignition sources are shut off, de-energize the power, shut off the engine, unhook any electricity. Stop the flow of material, close the valve, plug the hole. You don't want to work against the leak. You want to basically stop the source. Then respond to the materials in the nearest spill kit. Get the floor dry, get the booms, get the pads. Make sure that if there are any storm drains in the area, that they are covered. And you want to work from the leading edge of your spill back toward the source area and prevent any material from getting down into any floor drains, wrench drains, or storm drains. Close any emergency shutoff devices related to the storm drains if you know where they're located, because the last thing you want to do is have a release leave the property. And again, surround the area with absorbent booms, the sheets and the floor dry. Place the material on the spill and clean. Like I said before, it's important to remember this, clean from the outside toward the center of the spill. Then once you have the spill contained, locate an empty drum, which is located flammable storage area, okay, to containerize the material. And then only allow flow into any drains or floor drains after the spill has been cleaned up and you check with your supervisor. And then don't forget to make sure that the drum is labeled. And I've given you an example in the lower right-hand corner. The department, the contents, if it's a fuel, if it's a lube oil, a waste oil, whatever petroleum material you cleaned up, identify that, mark the date it was filled, and who the person is that filled that drum. In case I have a question, I know who to go to. Spill reporting. So if you didn't know, you're not going to be reporting the spill directly. I'll be working with your supervisors at each of the warps. It might be Jose or Larry or Mark over at Warp 4. We'll coordinate together, but generally the frontline employees are the ones that are doing the cleanups. That would be you guys. So work with your supervisors. Give them as much information as you can about the nature of the spill, because California Office of Emergency Services, the State Warning Center, and Certified Unified Program Agency, Riverside County inspectors, they will ask questions if it is a significant spill. So we report a release of oil as significant if it threatens harm to human health and the environment. The owner and operator, the OO, must make notification, verbal notification, and I would coordinate that with the points of contact of at each of the warps. Non-significant releases would be those releases that are cleaned up relatively quick and did not threaten human health and the environment, and generally less than 42 gallons. Most of the spills that we have that are incidental spills would fall under this category. So when we do spill reporting, the type of information that we'll be interested in collecting from you, from the point of contact at the warps, would be date and time of the release, location of the release, type of the material released, basically the who, what, when, why, and how everything was done. We want to document that to basically tell the county and the state that, you know, we were responsible. We planned ahead. We knew where oil-filled equipment was located, where oil storage was located. We understood how to do the cleanup using the spill kits that we have in place, and the maps that we know are there, and the plans that we have are already pre-placed. So they're going to ask this information, and we just want to make sure that we have, you know, clearly identified how we've gone about and done our cleanup. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Work with your supervisors. My contact information is there. I appreciate your time in going through this. This is an annual training. And again, I appreciate your time and effort and work in the field. If you have any questions, just give me a call. Thank you. Bye.